That's fine. Alright, sup guys? Following here with a video kind of similar to the Great Nature one that was posted earlier. So we figured we'd do this for some of our decks that actually have more complex strategies than some of the other ones that are a little uh, cut and paste and dry and stuff. You just kind of drop everything onto the field and, play it like you normally would. So today we have Shadow Paladin Revengers, which as of now don't have too many large plays, but they do have some things that you can run or tech in that I tend to like, but a lot of builds don't seem to run them. So this is pretty much going to be your basic setup. You're going to have a Judge Bow behind a Mordred Phantom in most cases that you can actually go into him. And a lot of the time, this is just your big pressure play. You swing at this, it's an 18, and they're forced to guard it, or you can do your main basic combo. Usually going to have less damage in this, but yeah. So your biggest thing is to swing with this early game, and even if you don't have anything else, you can do this if you want to try rushing down or whatever. That's also very viable, since with this deck, you can call that counter boss 1, kill their Judge Bow in mirror matches, or just do other stuff normally. So you should probably swing at that and then swing at this. So if they no guard this because they either can't guard or they don't care or whatever it is, then on hit, your main thing you do is you counter blast, activate, put it into soul, and you search your deck for 2 of these sword breakers. Since you bring them out here and probably here or something. The way I run my deck, normally I don't have to commit this hard, so I usually wouldn't have this. And I'd either put both of them here or maybe one on both sides or something. I don't like putting it here just because the way my build runs. Unless I use the break ride to call something behind Vanguard specifically, it kind of gets stuck there. If I have to, then I have to, and I just use the break ride to call something else over it to fix the non-revenger there. But if not, then usually I would just do this. So you do that, you bring it out somewhere on your field, and for each one you can Soul Blast 1 each, so you activate, you get to draw a card off of it, and then you activate and you Soul Blast, and you get to draw 1 more card. So off of this play, even if you rush early and commit to your field a little bit so you push early damage on them, you make your hand back really easily if they're forced to do something about it, especially if you could hit them to 3 damage earlier, and now they really don't want to take the extra damage, but they had to, or you broke through or something, and now they're at like 3 to 4 damage, and you just made your hand back while rushing their field down. So you're probably at like 2 damage or something. That's the main basic play. The rest of the play comes in when you're at 4 damage or higher, and you're ready to go into your break ride. Since you have this set up on ride, you break ride, and then you can counter blast 1. And if you don't have this set up, let's say they didn't activate those or something, but you have a column here, for example, what you can do is, there we go, sorry about that. You break ride, you counter blast for the break ride skill, and you call out that, since in some cases you'll probably have a Dorant on field. So you counter blast 1, you search deck, bring 1 out, and then you unflip. So you did it for entirely free. Normally you're going to have more than enough counter blast for the Abyss play, but in the small chance you don't, it can potentially give you the extra counter blast you needed. If you have a Blaster Dark Avenger in hand, you can also call this out, so you can call the Blaster Dark from hand to get your unflip back. That's what these guys do for the deck. But in the example where you bring these 2 out, and why I do this is because on the turn that you know you're going to break ride, if you know you have enough counterblast, so let's say you had like 3 open counterblast, what you can do is you break ride, you counterblast 1, you search your deck for a mana. This card is one of my favorite cards in the deck as a sort of tech toolbox kind of card, since I don't run Mac Arts. mainly because this card does what Macart does, but is a lot more versatile. Besides the fact that she can only call units behind her, but in a lot of cases that does not matter in the slightest. Just because if you set up your field properly, that doesn't matter. So you break ride, you bring her out, and you call her over here. This retires this unit, and then her skill, she searches you search your deck for a grade 1 or lower, and you call it behind her, or in the same column from her. So you can technically call over her, but normally you just call that out. So you retired these two, so they're off your field, and now you have 2 Revenger Rearguards set up. Technically, that's not the most efficient play sometimes, but usually they get the hand that they need earlier, and the sword breakers are just there to refill your hand, so you're not low on it if you happen to rush down. So this isn't too bad of a play if you need to. The other reason why mana is good though is because early game, let's see your opponent's at so your opponent's to 9,000. On your field, let's see you ride into grade 2 as well. You've got the Judge Bow set up and everything. Generally, what you're able to do is, they're 9,000, this is a 14, this hits a number. Let's see, you've got like a Masquerade, this also hits a number 10. You have mana in hand early, she doesn't really do much right now. Call her. You can search your deck, bring out something like this, or Doran if you really want to. I usually just call this one out because it goes bottom of deck and you don't need it again for a while. You bring this out, call it here, and this now hits 15. That means they need a guard for 10k shield for this, and this is an extra attack. And you only committed at most like 2 cards to field. So with your whole turn, you can pretty much rush him down like this. It does plays at the end of turn, just goes back to bottom of deck, which doesn't really hurt you all that much. You just got an extra 5k shield out of your opponent, because this wouldn't even hit in the first place against 9. I can understand why Macart is a good card just because it is free, but I kind of don't like the fact that he's only on Legion, and the fact that he calls things in rested doesn't really help you all that much unless you're specifically on the Legion break ride-ish turn or stuff like that, since you can call Macart out, and unless you really need to replace something that's like behind Vanguard. So for instance, if you had like a setup like this and you brought out a Macart, so that, I'll just pretend this is a Macart for now. If you were to bring out a Macart and you bring something out to replace the unit here, so you should pure call that, this comes in rested and this doesn't matter. But in any other situation that you don't call it out here, let's say the Swordbreaker was here instead, and you call over this is only a 14 on the break ride if you bring him out using that. If not, he's only a 9. Whereas if you bring out a mana, bring something out behind her, and then +5 to her, this is a 20, which makes him guard for 10k shield. So it's not hitting the best column, because normally 16 columns hit for 21. But with this, it at least hits a 20, so that's at least a 10k shield. And you're sacking the units anyway, so it's not too big a deal. That's most of the plays. They don't have too many of their bigger ones yet. Yeah, they can't really do all that much special besides what they normally already could do until the next Fighters Collection comes out, where they get a ton of new plays thanks to their toolbox-ish Generation Zone stuff, since right now they're stuck playing the basic vanilla Stride units. But after Legend Deck and Fighters Collection and all that comes out, plus the Generation BT3, and they get all their new units and all that, there's a ton of shenanigans they can do, and it's pretty awesome, since they have so many little changes that you can make to the deck that either make it that much more explosive or that much harder to guard and just generally defend against the deck. Until then, look forward to that, because we've got other videos probably coming up, and we're definitely going to be voting those new Shadow Paladin decks, so we can show you exactly how ridiculous these decks can be. And I guess that's it for this one. We'll see you in the next video. Later.